Good afternoon. I'm Molly Young from the Miami University Alumni Association, and today we have a very special on-location edition of Miami Presents. And today we have Eating for Better Sleep with Karman Meyer. Joining us from her kitchen in Tennessee is Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, author, and EHS alumna, Karman Meyer, and live from our food science lab here at Phillips Hall on Miami's campus, we have Dean Jason Lane and Nancy Parkinson, senior clinical lecturer here in K&H. So welcome to all of you at home, and thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for joining us here. We know everybody loves a good food demonstration. It's certainly popular with this viewing audience. And I think the only thing we all can enjoy a little bit more is a good night's sleep. So we're excited to have Karman here to share some tips and tricks on how we can all get a better night's rest. So we do have some great pre-submitted questions. You can also ask questions during the live webinar by using the Ask a Question button under your video. And if you're interested in any of the recipes that Karman is making today, you can also find that under your video as well in the webinar description. So we have lots of good information to get to, 2 dishes we're going to be cooking along with, and I am going to toss it over here to Dean Lane to get us started. Welcome.
Thank you, Molly. We're thrilled to have all of you here with us today as part of our Changemaker webinar series live from Phillips Hall, the food lab. For those who know our nutrition program, I just want to highlight, we have one of the most amazing nutrition programs available today, I think, anywhere in the U.S. We have remarkable faculty, including Nancy, who's here with us today. We have 100% placement rate for our students who are going into RD programs right now, right? So I'm thrilled that we can highlight, I think, the great work that's happening at Miami University in nutrition education. You're going to see some of that work right now. And of course, we're always thrilled to be able to highlight the amazing alumni that we have. And so, Karman, we're just thrilled that you're here with us today. And we'll take it over. I'll kick it over to you and look forward to learning a few things.
Well, thanks so much, Dean Lane and Molly and Nancy, everybody, for inviting me to be a part of this great webinar series today. I'm Karman Meyer. I've been a registered dietitian since 2010 and, yes, completed the undergrad program there at Miami. And Nancy was one of my beloved professors. We've stayed in touch, and I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities I had at Miami, but that has continued even after graduation, and it's great to be with so many fellow alumni today and friends. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen in Nashville. We're going to go through a couple of recipes. One that is actually in my Eat to Sleep book, which we will get to that a little bit later, but it's actually our zesty tuna lettuce wraps. And then we're going to make a really simple, crunchy coated nut recipe. And I know Nancy has already made a batch of these as well and did a little bit of snacking beforehand. You got to try out the product. But we definitely want to hear questions from everybody. So some of you submitted those ahead of time. But if you think of questions as we're going through those recipes, please feel free to submit them. And I think we should go ahead and start with just a little icebreaker because we're talking about food today. I'm a big foodie. I'm sure a lot of you are. I want to hear, what was your favorite dining hall on Miami's campus when you were going there? I'll start with Dean Lane and Nancy. Can you share where you love to eat on campus?
Oh, boy. I was going to start with Bagel and Deli. But on campus, probably somewhere in Armstrong, maybe Pulley Diner.
Well, actually, Karman, I have to say Harris Dining Hall because it's where I got my beginning at Miami University, and it is no longer a dining system, but Harris Dining Hall, I have to pick that one.
Actually, I should have said the food lab. Anytime Nancy
cooks
us a meal down here,
yes.
It's probably my favorite of all.
I'd say that's what I was thinking. Maybe a well-kept secret for some, but I think more and more people have become aware of the food lab because it's such a great place, and I know you've done a great job of inviting people in and feeding them. Everybody's got to love that. I think Bell Tower was a place I frequented a lot for food. as an undergrad, but yeah, so would just love to hear from anybody watching, reminiscing about our good times at Miami. But let's go ahead and get started with that first recipe, Nancy. If you're ready to go.
And something that I teach in my classes is mise en place, so everything in its place. So the equipment we're going to need is a baking sheet with parchment paper, and then a whisk. And of course, Jason, we have everything lined out.
Excellent.
And you wanted to start with the egg whites, Carmen?
Yes. So let me kind of
just pour the egg whites in there.
tell you what you're doing here. We will use one large egg white, and they make the tools where you can separate that egg yolk from the egg white. But what I like to do is just crack my egg in half and go back and forth with that egg yolk, and you'll get that egg white to separate naturally. Is that how you all did that today?
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So no need for fancy
You need
tools.
to get us all prepped.
Yes. So this egg white is going to be what really helps to coat all of our mixed nuts in this flavorful seasoning that we're adding. And this is actually a no salt recipe. So this recipe is in my new cookbook, the Everything Diet Meal Prep Cookbook. And if you're not familiar with Diet, DASH is an acronym for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. So if you have high blood pressure, or someone has high blood pressure, we have to think about reducing that sodium. And sometimes, mixed nuts that we buy at the store, they can have quite a bit of sodium, even if they're lightly salted. So making your own at home is just a good way to cut back on that salt without cutting back on flavor. So to add flavor to those egg whites, we're going to add our 3 tablespoons of light brown sugar. I'm going to put that in the bowl.
And I packed that in at 1 tablespoon measure. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we measure brown sugar, it is important that you whatever you're scooping with, whether it's a quarter cup or a tablespoon, scoop it and you pack it, meaning press that down. That is how we correctly measure our brown sugar. Next, you can add that dried oregano. You should have about 2 teaspoons.
Right.
And then next, we have some coriander, which if you're not familiar, coriander has kind of a lime smell to it. It's a very interesting spice. So that's going in next. And then some cumin, one of my favorite spices to cook with.
There you go.
Kind of a different one to have maybe in a nut mix, but I love it. Now, if you like a little bit of heat, we're doing some cayenne pepper. And we're just doing a 1/4 teaspoon of that cayenne pepper. If you don't like spice, you can certainly cut that back. Even at a 1/4 teaspoon, it's not, really, really spicy. And next we have ground cloves. So this also kind of adds a little bit of a spice, not so much like a pepper spice, but it's definitely very warming. All right, you got all of those.
Bit of whisk, huh? All right.
Whisk time. So I really like using the egg white, but Nancy, you were talking about a nut mix that you do that had just butter and was it some oil?
Yeah, and then brown sugar and fresh rosemary, chopped up rosemary, and on cashews. So sweet and spicy cashews.
That's also a hit around here.
It is a hit, yeah.
So, but I'm sure this is going to be a great one as well. This is smelling terrific right now.
Yeah.
This
Spices
is a-
coming together. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
That's
Okay.
good.
All right.
Okay, and so then you can just add 2 cups of unsalted mixed nuts, and whether you buy those from the store, like already mixed, or you just have some almonds on hand, or some pecans, peanuts, cashews, pistachios, whatever nuts that you want to use, you can add those to this nut mix. Now, this is all about sleep, so let's hit a few highlights here while we're mixing and coating the nuts in that herb mixture. Our almonds are actually a natural source of melatonin. And so we know that melatonin helps to regulate that sleep-wake cycle. But melatonin actually starts to decrease in our body, or we're not making quite enough of that hormone. Once we hit our teenage years, it just starts to decline. So if we can get in melatonin from foods, that just helps to, set us up for better sleep. So things like almonds, dried tart cherries or tart cherry juice, pistachios are another nut that you could use. It would be great in this mix. Nancy, were you using any almonds or pistachios today?
We actually have, in the nut mix, there actually are some almonds. And then I found a product, Karman, that is apple cinnamon coated almonds. So that just adds a little bit different flavor to your almonds. So that was a good find. And then I know you like to talk about dark cherry. So this is a freeze dried dark cherry, freeze dried, and then dipped in dark chocolate. So that's another way to get some melatonin in your system. Yeah. So we've got them all coated, Karman. Do you want me to put them we'll put them on the cookie sheet now and spread them out?
Yes, go ahead and spread those out. It's important when we do this that we get them in a single layer. That way they really get crunchy and bake evenly. So make sure you spread those out.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
But it just takes 30 minutes in an oven preheated at 300 degrees. And if you're having people over for a party, this is, a great snack mix. So you'll be making that ahead of time. It's going to make the house smell amazing. And then you'll have a great snack for people. And Mother's Day is coming up. So, if you like giving food gifts, you could even, maybe package some of these in a mason jar. But this is a good anytime gift. Who doesn't like getting food as a gift? It's probably one of my favorites. Those look great, Nancy.
Yeah, so we'll put those in the oven at 300, right? For about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yep. We are going to mix them, kind of flip them about halfway through. So if you want to set your timer for 15 minutes, just to make sure you don't forget, then that's a good indicator. Okay. We need to flip them.
And just a question from home. How much did you say of those small spices, the coriander, the cumin? How much of those?
So it's 2 teaspoons of oregano, 3/4 teaspoons of the coriander, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and 1/8 teaspoon ground cloves. And Molly, are we able to share the complete recipes with people who've joined, or will that be still on the page to access later?
They are still on the page to access later, yes. And in fact, they could go to it now. It's under the video.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure everybody will be able to make these at home later. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of talk about, we're making a great nut mix here that can definitely be eaten by itself. I've been snacking on mine this morning, but we can also take it a little bit further to make a great snack for any time of day or before bedtime. So Nancy, you mentioned some of the ingredients that you have that you're going to add, like those dark chocolate covered tart cherries. And I think we both also picked out some pepitas. I'm going to bring mine a little bit closer. If you're not familiar with pepitas, they're just shelled pumpkin seeds. I like to get them raw when I can, rather than roasted and already salted. But that goes great in this, nut mix. We can just build our own trail mix, essentially.
So the nuts that I've already prepared, I'm going to put in a big bowl. And then some pepitos. That's going to add some color. That's what I like about that too, Karman. Plus the crunch. I like that crunch.
Color, more crunch, and a really important sleep nutrient, which is magnesium. I feel like magnesium has been the trending nutrient of the past 2 years. Like, it's getting so much good attention because it's so important for sleep, reducing stress, fighting inflammation. I mean, it plays a part in like 150 plus enzymatic processes in the body. So super important, but most of us aren't getting enough every day. And these pepitas are one of the best food sources to get that. So easy to add to a trail mix like this. Nancy, what else are you tossing into
I got
yours?
some sunflower seeds.
Perfect.
And while you put those in, I just gotta say, these are smelling delicious right now. That spice is coming off there. Oh, I'm getting hungry.
So as you're putting yours in a bowl, because I know you're going to put them into little packs, I'm kind of doing my gift jar here. I'm going to do some popcorn because popcorn is one of my favorite foods. It's a whole grain and it's a good option, you know, before bedtime. I think a lot of people love popcorn in the evening, but if we just pop some of our own at home and add our own spices, said it can make for a good bedtime snack, but we do need to pair it with some protein to help us feel fuller longer, to help with blood sugar stabilization, and that's where those nuts come in. So we have protein in those nuts plus healthy fats and our whole grain popcorn. And so that just makes a nice little package gift. And yours looks really great there, Nancy. So basically,
Too, I'm thinking, I love this idea. My kids love popcorn, right? But to add a little bit extra into it at nighttime snack, sounds like a little bit healthier as well. I mean, it seems like a great snack for kids at night.
definitely.
And some banana chips. We've got some banana chips. That's always good. You know I always go over the top, right, Carmen?
Yes.
And then some walnuts. Great source of protein and those omega fats, right? This is the ultimate. And some dried blueberries.
You're getting lots of antioxidants. Oh, I think I forgot my cranberries. Yeah, I forgot my sweet element in my jar here. So I'm doing some dried cranberries. But
Now, I have some cranberries too. Looks pretty festive now with the green. And I'm actually going to add some pistachios. That's been my new kick, Carmen, is some pistachios.
yes, pistachios are one of those other great nuts to just have as a snack because they have more of those monounsaturated fats, good for our heart, going to get you some protein and some fiber, plus that melatonin for sleep, and a little bit of magnesium as well. So all around, you know, your pistachios, almonds, walnuts, those are all really great like choices when it comes to our nuts.
Jason, I think we need to talk about this because in our lab we have a food freeze dryer. And I found this morning some freeze-dried mangoes and then freeze-dried cherries dipped in chocolate. Oh my goodness. And then coconut. And the coconut shavings actually have the peel of the coconut on the coconut.
It's still on there.
It's still on there.
Right.
So you're gonna get some extra fiber. But those are some different types of snacks. Carmen and I are always sharing new items. But those are some different types of things you can add to your snacking too.
So what's important to drying?
Freeze dry because you can still keep the nutrients through that process. It's just taking out the water. It's keeping all those other.
So they stay longer.
They stay longer. Right. Yeah. And so we're just going to put some in a little baggie.
And Karen would like to know if we could make these nuts in an air fryer. I know that's sort of a new way of making all kinds of food. Thoughts, Carmen?
That is a great question. I don't own an air fryer and I've never tried that. I guess I wonder if they will sit evenly in the basket as you're cooking them. I'd say if they can, then that should work fine.
Actually, I think it probably would work too. And you just might have to rotate them a little bit, stir them up.
Yeah.
But we can try that. Those are things we love to try in our food science labs. That's great because we do a lot of community projects.
Right.
And
this is great for our students too. They can come in, try out things, experiment, learn new techniques.
Exactly.
And you got an air fryer here?
We do have an air fryer, yes. and we have a food dryer, that would make like raisins and craisins. So it doesn't take all the moisture out of it, but a food freeze dryer does. Yeah. And we've had some students in our advanced food science class. They made actually a trail mix because they like to do a lot of hiking. And they wanted to have foods that were preserved, but that were lightweight to take on their trip. So that's actually why we got the food freeze dryer, so they could do that. Yeah, because it can be expensive to buy the different fruits and items freeze dried. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
A couple snack bags, Carmen, ready to go.
Ready for snacking. Yeah, I mean, you can save so much money by making your own trail mix. And even just saving on buying the smoked almonds at the store or any other kind of honey roasted nut mix at the store, you can pretty easily make that at home. You'll still have to buy the nuts, but over time you would really save money on that. And just a quick storage tip for nuts is to keep them in your freezer because they'll just last so much longer. Nuts are high in fat, and any kind of fat can go rancid over time, but keeping them in the freezer will help them last longer. And since it is a pricey ingredient, I definitely want to make sure that I keep mine as fresh as possible for as long as possible. So did you know?
For us, one of the real advantages is you can pick the ingredients, right? So my wife, who is the cook at home, vastly better than me, right? She does it she makes our own trail mix for the kids. We can make sure we've got ingredients in there that fits the taste of the kids.
Right.
Which can be hard when you have 3 kids at home. Finding one trail mix that beats all of them. But we can find ingredients, they love it, it's healthy, it's easy to do.
Yeah, and I like your idea of adding the popcorn because
Absolutely.
But then having like the banana chips and the spicy nuts, that's going to add some substantial bite, some flavor to a nighttime snack. That'll cut that craving with sweetness, and also not just popcorn, but adding some variety to that. So add some color, add some variety, add some crunch. Carmen, I love that idea of mixing it with the popcorn because we can mindlessly eat a whole bag of popcorn. It's like, wait a minute, let's put some nutrients in there that are going to help me calm down and help that melatonin and increase magnesium in our system. Yeah.
Awesome. The same is true, I think, when people have like a bowl of peanuts or cashews, whatever. It's so easy to snack on a lot of them, and they have good nutrients, but they are high in fat, so we don't want to overdo it. That's where adding the popcorn and the other things, it just helps provide a better balance, and that's really what we're looking for. So I'm glad we have our snack ready to go, and we can go ahead and work on our next recipe if you're ready. Molly,
and my husband Scott just made tuna salad this past weekend, and so I like your idea. This is a variation on that, and kicks it up with that sriracha sauce. So I think Jason's ready. I have everything set up. I think he's ready to get this together.
Oh, I'm doing this one?
You are.
Oh, all right. Let's see.
She's putting your skills to the test here.
Right.
I know you can do it, though. This is so easy.
Great teachers, right? We can learn anything.
That's right. That's right.
So it is very easy. We are just starting with a 10-ounce can of tuna, and it is better to buy that tuna canned in water. We don't really need the extra oil, but we drain that very well. We want to get as much water out of there as possible. And then we're going to add half of a small ripe avocado. And so just for anyone at home, if you're not feeling confident about cutting into an avocado, show you real quick here. You don't have to use, your biggest knife, but this is what I generally use. So we start by cutting lengthwise around our pit, like so. And then when we do that, we can easily just twist. We're going in opposite directions, twist that open. Got our beautiful avocado. I'm going to leave the pit in this side because I won't use all of this today. So the pit is going to keep the avocado green and looking fresh. I'm going to use this side here. And it doesn't really matter if you slice or dice it because we're just going to mash it in our tuna. I'll slice it to start to get it out. And this is a pretty big avocado, and I said we needed half of a small one. So I'm going to use maybe half of this side and just scoop it into your tuna. So go ahead and add that avocado to your tuna.
So Carmen, I diced ours. And if you want to take that spoon, Jason, and just scoop that out, you can hold it and just scoop it out into the,
Just right around the edge there.
Yeah.
You can bump right up
Yeah,
against that peel.
yeah.
There. Okay.
all that goes in there.
Beautiful.
And we'll just get some more.
Yeah, just get some more.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and that's the easiest way to do it without making a mess of the avocado as you're
It's
cutting
pretty
it.
easy with that rind. That just stays together. And
And it's a little bit dark. This is a Haas avocado, and so it's a little bit dark, and we could press it. That's how we knew it was right.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to start stirring?
Yep.
mash that together.
We're gonna actually add a few other things, so
Okay.
hold off on that. We're adding about a tablespoon of chopped cilantro. So I picked this out of my garden this morning,
Awesome.
and no need to remove the leaves from the stem when you have cilantro. We can just chop it all.
I love that about cilantro.
great.
You can use the stalk, every piece of it. I love it.
Yeah, save yourself some time. Just chop it all.
Great
the-
tip.
the-
I didn't know that.
Stem has great flavor. So we need, about a tablespoon of our cilantro. It smells so good. Now, the tuna, you might be wondering, like, is tuna that great for me? It is a great protein option. It has those omega-3 fatty acids, but also some vitamin B6. And that is very important for sleep because it helps take one of our essential amino acids that we get from food, and it converts that into serotonin, our happy neurotransmitter. It makes us feel good, and then moves that, the serotonin, into melatonin. So it's helping in all of these different things in the body throughout the day to help us then sleep better at night. It's pretty amazing. All right, so you have your cilantro in there. We can
We do.
add our sriracha. So I'm going to do about 3/4 of a teaspoon. So if you like,
How much of
We'll just shake it.
you like a little more sriracha, you can always add more or add a little less.
I think it's good.
Good. Okay. All right. Okay. We're thinking
Nancy's like, well,
it's spicy. Okay.
Oh, it was exactly 3/4 of a teaspoon. Exactly.
on the nose. All right. And next we're adding our Dijon mustard. So we need about a 1/4 teaspoon of that. Shake it up well.
Yep.
So I wonder if anyone at home is thinking, where's the mayonnaise? We haven't added any mayonnaise to this tuna salad. And we actually aren't. And not that I don't love mayonnaise, but we can actually get that creaminess, that good flavor by using the avocado and all of these other things that are punching up the flavor. And it's going to make this tuna salad taste great. So at this point, we need black pepper. Almost forgot. 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And then we can mash everything together.
Tell her I'm checking on the nuts.
Oh, Nancy's checking on the nuts right now.
Yeah, my kind of flip those. So I don't mash this too much. Like I try to leave some of my avocado, in slightly bigger chunks. But when you're making this at home, you do it how you'd like to do it. Just as long as everything gets separated. You gotta mix that mustard and sriracha. Okay.
That looks great.
Good. All right. Coming together. Smells good too.
Yes.
A little close up there, but Yeah, we've added a lot of great color with our cilantro. You can even add some green onion to this. That would be great if you have it on hand and need to use it up. All right, so we did that first step. We only have one other step to this recipe. I told you it's so easy. So you are going to either buy some Bibb lettuce or Boston lettuce. Nancy, what kind did you find?
We got Bibb lettuce and red leaf lettuce because it's a little bit firmer. So we'll just take a little bit and put it in the center, right?
Yeah, we're just going to fill up our lettuce cup here.
All right, that looks great.
And for toppings, we have either some cucumber that we dice and some shredded carrots.
So if you want to put some cucumber on each one of
Yeah, we
those
can
and
do
then
that.
some shredded carrots, that'd be great.
So we don't mix those in, we put those on afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, those are our nice crunchy toppings.
All right.
And we just have a cute little lettuce wrap here. I usually eat, maybe 3 or 4 of these if I'm having it for lunch. And then probably some crackers or a piece of bread, some toast, because we have great protein from our tuna. We're getting our veggies. We're getting healthy fats with that avocado. But we're missing our carbohydrates, and we do need those carbohydrates. It's good to have some whole grains, something like a whole wheat bread, because, again, those are going to have B6 vitamins. That B6 is so important for sleep. And plus, carbohydrates are like our quick source of energy. So when we're feeling kind of tired and sluggish and we need food to give us energy, those carbohydrates are our friend. They come to our rescue. I'm going to grab a plate really quick to put my lettuce wrap on. But I saw...
Yeah, Carmen, what I got today was the living lettuce. So it already has the root bulb on it. And it stays a lot fresher in the refrigerator a lot longer. So if you're in a single household or you made 1 or 2 people in your household, you can just pick off the leaves that you want, and the rest will stay in the container in the refrigerator. That's what I like about the living lettuce. Now we have tower gardens here in our food science lab. And so we do grow herbs and jalapeno peppers. We've tried cucumbers and tomatoes. So we do use that in our lab for our workshops in our labs. But for home use, I really like the living lettuce. So that could be an option too.
And we've got vegetables up from the farm also. Right?
And we also get produce from the farm, the Miami Institute for Food, the University Farm. They have beautiful produce, and the lettuce grows from the morning to the night. I just took all my students to the farm last week, and they did a wonderful job. We planted cabbage and broccoli and tomatoes, and then we weeded the garlic. So the beautiful garlic, we made the garlic bread last summer with the garlic butter. So we just try to utilize our fresh produce and our local produce.
And it's great. We get the kids out to the farm, right? They can see where the food is grown, and then they get to come back into the lab and make it. And if you're local, you can sign up for the CSA, right?
Right, the Community Supported Agriculture. Yes.
Someone mentioned perhaps using a canned salmon. Is that a possibility, Carmen? And do you have maybe an alternative to tuna or fish that could be vegetarian friendly to use in this salad?
Yes. So I would say, go for the canned salmon. That sounds great. And for a vegetarian option or non-seafood, you could do cannellini beans. And, if you're doing it from a can, drain them, rinse them to cut that sodium, mash those like in a bowl with the avocado, and add any seasonings that you would like. I think the cannellini beans would be really great because they're very soft. They have a good mild texture. So that would be my choice.
That's a great idea. And I like that you highlighted the vitamin B6 that creates with protein metabolism. So that those amino acids that then create serotonin, that then create our sleep that we need.
Yeah.
Melatonin.
Yeah.
Serotonin to melatonin. Yeah, the conversion. Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's throughout the day. That's something that has impressed me about your book, with staying hydrated throughout the day. And that it's what you do all day that will help you get that rest at night.
Yes.
So that was something that made an impression on me that I'm trying to incorporate because I'm on my feet a lot. It's hard to sit down and or at least get a drink of water. So just staying hydrated, that was really key for me in your book.
Yeah, I get that question a lot about, there's 50 foods in Eat to Sleep that I recommend for people to enjoy more of. And they might say like, well, if I eat this, am I going to get tired? And, our body is so smart. It knows what to do and when to do it if we're providing it with the right tools. So I like to think of it, like our toolbox. We have to have the right tools to do a good job. We can't just put duct tape on things. It might work for a little bit, but then we're going to have problems later. So we have to put the right tools in, and those are our nutrients. So feeding our body things like the tuna, which has tryptophan. That's that essential amino acid we keep talking about that gets converted then to serotonin and then melatonin. We need vitamin D. We need magnesium, which we get from avocado, our leafy greens, our nuts and seeds. So all of these things throughout the day, our body then knows what to do with it and when to make use of it. So it's incredible. That's why I love this field.
Yeah, and another thing that I like about your book is that the ingredients are alphabetical. I just made my list from that alphabetical list, my grocery list. So that was so convenient. And then you have the hints on the side, in the margins about the health benefits and quick tips for food preparation. So I really liked it. It was alphabetical and stressing, hydration.
And I love hearing the science behind it because I think sometimes people think the nutrition field and it's about food preparation, right? We're just going to make food, but it's really about the science behind the food and the impact on the body. And that's what we teach our students,
That's
right?
Exactly.
What you're putting in your body matters and it has an impact, like on sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, we all know, I need to eat more fruits and vegetables and blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all, right? That's what people might think. It's like but knowing why is sometimes the motivator. And especially when it comes to sleep, if you're not sleeping well, you feel awful. I mean, I've worked with clients and, it's just not a good feeling to wake up and not feel rested. And then to also know some of the long-term health consequences that can develop from poor sleep. So it is important that we make time for it rather than, in our society, we sometimes, idolize people who don't have to sleep as much. It's like, I can stay up until midnight and only get 4 hours of sleep and then I'm back at it. But over the long term, that may not work well health-wise. So, and especially I think about college students, who might be staying up, cramming for exams. It's like, got to get your sleep. It's going to help you do better on that test.
I was going to say it is the last, for our alums, it is the last week of classes right now. Finals week is next week, and then commencement. It's a stressful time right now. So, I mean, other thoughts on food and how it helps impact stress and anxiety overall?
Yeah, so that magnesium is probably one of the key nutrients specifically that can help us to manage stress and be more resilient truly in how we handle things that come up during our day. We're all dealing with stress at some point, sometime on a daily basis, sometimes it's on weeks or weeks on end. And so we have to, again, give our body what we need to be feeding it so that it can at least be as prepared and as resilient as it possibly can to help us get through those times. So magnesium is number one. And then we've talked a lot about protein and carbohydrates, those fats, fiber. Having this balance is really going to set us up for success. It helps keep our blood sugars more stable so that our mood can be better. If we're missing out on our carbohydrates during the day, that can really impact our mood. We might get cranky. If we're not getting enough protein, then we're not supporting our metabolism. We probably won't stay full longer at meals. So we need all of these different elements: protein, fat, fiber, and those carbohydrates fit into the fiber category. Nancy, you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think, dealing with stress with students now, you mentioned the key combination of protein and carbohydrates. So that keeps those blood sugars from fluctuating too high or too low. And that having those carbohydrates that feed the brain, that feed the nervous system, help us to concentrate on what we're studying and the tasks that we're doing.
So that piece of
Each day.
pizza is good for my
You've got
concentration.
you've got the protein and carbohydrate. Yeah, it's better than not having and putting your body into a fasting state. So that I really appreciate you mentioning the protein carbohydrate combination, keeping those blood sugars steady, allowing us to be able to concentrate, and then staying hydrated. So and dealing with stress, and then getting our sleep, because in that sleep mode. Our bodies have torn down muscles, and we're getting rid of toxins from our system. And so we need that sleep in order to recharge. Get everything balanced again, and then we're ready for the morning.
And that's where the water comes in also, right? The water helps flush those toxins.
Right,
out of the body throughout the day.
exactly. Yeah.
We do have a question. How important is blood sugar management and maintenance to, sort of the overall endeavor to get a good night's sleep? Is that something that sort of regularly needs maintained?
Yeah, that's one of those other things that said it starts when we first wake up in the morning. What are we having for breakfast? Are we getting that good balance of protein, fiber, fats to help keep our blood sugars more stable throughout the day? Because if you've experienced a blood sugar drop, that doesn't feel good. You're probably going to just reach for anything to help you feel better. And, that could be just any food that's available. It may not be the best choice, but understandably, you're trying to get that blood sugar back up so you feel better. But, over the course of a day, if we're constantly just going for like a bag of chips and then a candy bar, and then we're drinking a soda, we're bringing the blood sugar back up, but then it drops. And so we have this roller coaster happening. And we want more of just a steady kind of like train ride, keeping it smooth and steady. So yeah, it can definitely impact sleep at night, because if we have that blood sugar drop in the middle of the night, your body is going to release cortisol to wake you up so that you go eat something, fix that blood sugar. Now you have cortisol kind of pumping through your system. Excess cortisol over time can be bad for our heart. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. That's why I'm all for a bedtime snack if you feel hungry. If you eat an early dinner and let's say there's 4 to 5 hours before you go to bed, you might need something small. It could just be cheese and crackers or yogurt with some berries, a banana and peanut butter. It doesn't have to be anything, super special, or our trail mix that we made with the popcorn. Just have a little bit of that to keep those blood sugars stable throughout the night.
Great. Well, we do have a couple questions from the
Okay.
audience. And Carmen, I know you wanted to tell us a little bit about your book and where we can find it. You want to tell us about that, and we'll embark on some questions?
Of course. So both of my books, Eat to Sleep and then Everything Diet Meal Prep, are both available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and in a lot of local bookstores as well. So should be able to find them there with no problem. And, I do just want to quickly ask a favor to everyone who's watching. If you could scan that QR code and let me know what you thought about today's presentation. I like to know what people take away from this, what's most valuable to you, or if there's any information that you would have liked to have heard, which we will get to more questions after this. So hopefully we can answer your specific questions, but please let me know what else you would have liked to have seen. And if you complete that survey, I'm going to do a drawing and someone will win a copy of both of my books. So just take a quick minute there and fill that out for me. I'm so appreciative. And yeah, I hope that the information that we've covered so far has been really valuable.
Now, Carmen, while they're working on your little survey, we're going to do a quality check. We're going to taste what we have made today. So, Molly, if you want to taste some, and Dean, mind if I
That
do?
is a good idea. With the lettuce wraps, I don't think I didn't add sriracha to
Oh,
mine.
that's right. We add the sriracha sauce.
Didn't do that.
Well, there's just a little drizzle, a little garnish.
Oh, a little more on it.
A little
Even
more
hotter.
on it.
Okay,
Even
all right,
hotter.
all right.
Spice
You gotta
it
do a
up.
nice drizzle.
Oh,
Is it good?
it is.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
You got the crunchy, you got the sweet. It does. Got a great flavor to them. All those different spices
Those
in
are
there,
delicious.
aren't they? Those are really
Yes,
good.
they
I
really
love the
are.
rosemary ones, but
Mm-hmm.
these might be a new favorite.
Yeah, these all
This is very
all
good.
melts together really nice.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling healthier already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sleep well tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Armin, speaking of sleeping well tonight, I have several questions about acid reflux. I'm assuming this is sort of a problem for many, many folks.
I've got this
Really
issue,
good.
so yeah.
Indeed, a lot of us do. So can you tell us, is this a long-term maintenance thing to avoid acid reflux? Is this something that we can eat periodically through the day or before we go to bed? Help us
No.
in our burning esophagus.
Yes. Well, so generally speaking, with acid reflux, there are some common problem foods, and I do write about that in Eat to Sleep. Some of the things that we should avoid to then help us sleep better. And sometimes spicy foods can be aggravating for people. Tomato-based foods like a pasta sauce or pizza. Then citrus juices sometimes are a problem. But those are usually the key ones. Caffeine, it varies person to person, but caffeine can also trigger some of the acid reflux symptoms. So before bed, with your dinner meal, if you are prone to acid reflux, you may want to say, tomato-based sauces are off limits. I'm not eating anything spicy. And then one of the other key things is making sure that we help the body to digest after a meal. So if you can go for a 30-minute walk after dinner, that'll just really help with digestion so that acid reflux is not as much of a problem. And staying well hydrated. I know Nancy's mentioned that a couple times with hydration, but staying hydrated with our non-caffeinated beverages can also help.
And greasy foods too, right, Carmen? Greasy, spicy, chocolate, caffeine. There's all your fun.
That's it.
There you
That's
go.
I missed the greasy food. You were right.
There you
Well, I
go.
appreciate that, right? I mean, often we want to jump right to medicine, which I've done myself, but I'd much rather manage that through good eating and health. Sure, yeah.
And this is why good people like Karman make cookbooks, so we can all not feel as punished when we have to make these changes. Okay, so unrelated to punishment, but still somewhat punishing. If you're a middle of the night waker, whether that be to get up and go to the bathroom, if you're thirsty, and you just really struggle to go back to sleep, and it seems to be a popular problem as well. Is there something that you can sort of take, eat, prepare before going to bed for, the occasional wake up in the middle of the night?
Yes, so that's a great question. And I will say it can vary so much what the answer might be to that question, depending on your food intake throughout the whole day, your physical activity level, what you were doing before bed. But kind of a good, generalized answer, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, assess your caffeine intake during the day. I like to suggest people cut off caffeine 8 to 10 hours before you go to bed. So that includes, of course, coffee, or like black tea, green tea, sodas. And if you're really caffeine sensitive, it could even be things like chocolate. So I had a client that was drinking hot chocolate in the evening, and she's very caffeine sensitive. She didn't drink coffee or other teas at all, but she did have hot chocolate at night, and that chocolate had caffeine. And that was one of the things that was interfering with her sleep in the middle of the night. But if you're just getting up in the middle of the night to, go to the restroom, but you come back into bed and you can fall asleep fairly quickly, that's not a problem. Or even if you toss over, wake up a little bit, but you go right back to sleep, that's okay. So as long as we can go back to sleep within 5-10 minutes, I'm not concerned about that interfering with our sleep cycle too much. It's when we are consistently lying in bed and we can't fall back to sleep after 20 minutes, we should probably get up and do something different. If you're feeling hungry, definitely have a little snack. Again, maybe some like cheese and crackers or a banana with some nut butter, and try to go back to sleep after that.
Excellent. Good advice.
It is great advice. I mean, and too, as I've gotten older, I've realized I've got to cut off that caffeine even sooner than I used to. Right? There's a direct effect there.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me, actually, it's a great segue to the next question.
Well set up.
Very good setup. I have a question from Ellen here. She asks, how does aging affect sort of digestion and sleep, and how those sort of work in tandem together? What you eat, how you digest, and your overall sleep.
Yeah, digestion doesn't change a whole lot as we age. There is something in our stomach called intrinsic factor, and we have less of that as we age. That impacts vitamin B12 specifically. Other than that, digestion should remain about the same, truly. Now, our metabolism can change as we age, but then for sleep, the melatonin production, it does start to decrease once we reach puberty. We're going to lose that melatonin year after year. And so we want to do what we can through food and environmental factors to help keep melatonin working as best as possible. So when I say environmental factors, that means having dim lights in our home in the evening and limiting that blue light, because those things can interfere with melatonin being released.
Excellent. Okay, I actually have some other questions that I think have been tipped off by what we've been talking about. Alcohol. Can you talk to us about alcohol and sleep?
Yes, I'm glad that one came up, because kind of going back to that previous question, that is one of the other things that can interfere with our quality sleep at night. So when we drink alcohol, especially close to bedtime, it will disrupt our deep sleep cycles. There's the only way really around that is to give ourselves enough time between, maybe having that glass of wine in the evening and when we go to bed, generally about 3 to 4 hours between the two, and making sure you're rehydrating with water. So I like to say about twice the amount of water as you had alcohol to help flush it from your body and hopefully get you to that restorative sleep that night.
So having a glass of wine with dinner is probably okay, right? A little bit later,
A glass of water with your snack.
have a glass of water with your snack, right? Not the popcorn. Is there any interaction between having that glass of wine and your meal itself, right? As you think about your digestion.
Well, so if we're having the alcohol with our meal, it's not going to be absorbed as quickly into the bloodstream, but it'll still be there. And so as far as sleep, again, if it's still too close to bedtime, if we're having that late night slice of pizza and a beverage, looking at the younger kids here, but, then that could interfere with the sleep. And it's one of those things where you think, gosh, I always fall asleep like right away after drinking. And you do, but your body is not reaching those deep restorative stages where the repair, the memory consolidation, everything that is getting flushed out, as Nancy mentioned, so that we're ready for the next day to be our best.
Awesome. That is related to drinking. It's not alcohol, though. Can you tell us about apple cider vinegar? I hear, drink apple cider vinegar, with the mother, without the mother. What kind of benefits are there for good sleep?
As far as sleep, honestly, I don't know of any research that shows it can help with sleep. You will get some fermentation benefits from some apple cider vinegar, but I would suggest using it in a salad dressing. So, if you're making just a vinaigrette at home, use that apple cider vinegar rather than taking a shot of it, because so the research is not really there to say it does this better than a lot of our other foods can do, or that it even helps at all, specifically related to sleep.
Great.
So
Okay.
no shots of apple cider vinegar.
No.
Mix it into your salad dressing. All right.
Here's
You're
because
not-
both your alcohol and your vinegar.
Yeah, so try kombucha. Kombucha would be probably a more
Right.
flavorful, tasty way to get.
Kind of a more happy medium between the two. Yeah, exactly. Okay, one more question, and then we're gonna maybe trial run taste test here before we sign off. How long should we wait after we eat a meal before we either nap or go to bed? Is there an ideal time to allow your body to sort of, get ready for bed?
Well, kind of related to that acid reflux and just general digestion, give yourself 2-3 hours before going to bed. For the acid reflux, or people who experience that, lying down after eating will make those symptoms worse, so we want to avoid that. But as far as anybody else, just digestion wise, that's enough time to let your body digest the food. Like I said, moving after a meal, doing some kind of gentle movement is great for digestion and helping our blood sugars to stay more stable. So that's always great. In regards to like a bedtime snack, I know there's concern sometimes, like, oh, I can't eat after 9 o'clock because then my body will just store it all as fat. And that's not the case. Again, our bodies are very smart and they know what to do with things. And so truly, if you are feeling hungry and you've experienced those blood sugar drops in the middle of the night where you wake up sweating and your heart's maybe racing, you want to avoid that. So do your body a favor, have a small snack. It will digest fine, and even within an hour, you can go to bed with like a small amount of food on your stomach. It's okay.
So eating late or close to bedtime doesn't impact you, like in terms of it all stores in the
No.
body, which you hear so often.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Learn something new.
Let's
Should we
watch
try?
this today?
Right.
I
Should,
think
should we try the wraps?
I think
we should try the wraps
I
here.
think we
Molly,
should.
Thank you. Take this one.
Let's
Easy to hold
here
on.
in front of us. All
It's
right.
just a quick meal prep tip. So if you're doing this one, you can make that tuna salad in advance. Keep it in an airtight container so that the avocado doesn't, turn colors too much. It'll be okay with some of the other things we've added, but just keep the tuna separate, and then you can build those lettuce wraps when you're ready to eat them.
And what's great is even after sitting here for a while, the lettuce still stays together, right? It doesn't fall apart like you would with a doughy wrap. I think the crisp is great. Taste is delicious.
And it's
Highly
bright.
recommend.
It's really bright. It's
Yeah.
not like a heavy mayo-y tuna.
Yeah.
It's got like
That's right.
it's uplifting.
Very
almost
fresh.
for
And
tuna.
it's not too spicy.
And not too spicy.
Just a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little. That
Maybe
three,
use a little more next time. But
that
that was
3/4,
good.
no, yeah, that 3/4 teaspoon was a good call. I like that.
Yeah, very good.
Crunchy color, yeah.
Taste tester approved, Carmen.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
We
Carmen,
have.
thank you so much. This was what a delightful session this was.
Yes, thank you so much, Carmen. We are so glad to have had you to share this excellent information
Right.
with us. I think what I said at the beginning, everyone appreciates a good night's sleep. So all the tips that we can sort of cabbage onto, cabbage, no pun intended here with all this food. Anyway, we're super pleased that we could bring you to the homes of all of our alumni and bring your book, hopefully, to their table, their countertop. We are so appreciative of you. It's been really fun to watch the two of you cook together. I'm
Always thanks to Nancy for her great work and all that she does.
Super pleased to have had you two as
Thanks,
well.
Molly.
If you're interested in completing that survey for Karman, please scan that QR code that you see on your screen. As a reminder to all of our viewing audience, you can see a recording of this webinar along with all of our other webinars at alumlc.org/MiamiOH. Thank you all for taking the time to enjoy this and to dine with us, and love and honor to you all. Karman, have a great day.
Thank
Yep,
you,
thank you
Karman.
all. Thanks,
Thank you,
Karman.
Karman. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.